I'm looking to see what you're selling silver eagles for, generic silver rounds, and 90% silver.
The eagles are 30.
1 ounce silver rounds, 90% junk silver, and American silver eagles. Which one of these are the cheapest type of silver to stack today? Well, we know the answer isn't going to be silver eagles. Those are by far the most expensive of the three I just showed you. But 90% is actually what Josh from Coin and Bullion said in our interview last week that most of his customers are buying.
But silver demand still remains high, especially with 90% silver. More so than anything. That's what we're selling the most of, and we've talked because of the low premium.
So according to Josh, his customers are buying 90% silver because of the low premiums. But does it have the lowest premium? That is a very good question, because that title has been owned by Generic Silver for quite some time, especially last year when the premiums on 90% silver were higher than even Silver Eagles. So today we're going to find out. I'm going to be calling not only local coin shops around the US, but I'm also going to be looking at online retailers and comparing the prices of Silver Eagles, silver rounds, and 90% to see which one is the cheapest with each retailer. So let's go ahead and make some calls and look at the data. But before we do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like videos like this and you want to see more. Another year, another monster box of silver. For 2024, SD Bullion is giving away a full monster box of their 1 ounce silver Tree of Life coins. You can enter this giveaway all year, but I suggest that you do it now by going to sdbullion.com/sweepstakes and make sure you enter today. Thank you to SD Bullion for sponsoring my channel. All right, so at this point, I've already made the calls and I have the data. I only called one-party consent state. The rest were two-party consent, so I'll just have to show you the data. But let's go ahead and hear what the first shop had to say. Yeah, I was just calling to get some prices today. Could you help me out?
I can try.
Sure. I'm looking to see what you're selling Silver Eagles for, generic silver rounds, and 90% silver.
The eagles are 35.
Okay.
And our, I think our silvers are 31 something.
Okay.
Our generics.
31 something?
31.50.
31.50. And then what do you have junk silver for, 90%?
Okay, our dimes are 105 a roll.
Okay.
Quarters are 200 a roll.
Okay.
Halves are 230 a roll.
Alrighty, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Alrighty, so we had 35 for Silver Eagles, 31.50 for 1 ounce silver rounds, and it looks like dimes were $2.10 per dollar, quarters were $200 per dollar, and half dollars were $2.30 per dollar. So they actually had a mixture of numbers. And we can average those out. So we take 23 plus 21 plus 20 and then divide that by 3. So an average of $21.33 per dollar times 1.4 puts us at $29.86. And that is the average of the three. If you bought just the quarters, which were the cheapest, we take 20 times 1.4. It's actually only $28 per dollar. So for this shop, 90% is definitely the cheapest of the three. All right, so there's the data for the shop that we just talked about, that we just called. You can see it on the screen. The 90% is the average, 21.33. But I called 5 other shops, and we're going to find out what they also were selling 1 ounce rounds, eagles, and 90% for, and see which one was cheapest there. Then we're going to look at 4 online retailers. We'll look at those numbers and see which ones they had cheapest, and then we will compare local versus online. So let's do it. Here we go. Shop number 2, California. You can see they had rounds for $29.50, which was around just over $2 an ounce over spot. Not bad. 90% silver at $20.40 per dollar multiplied by 1.4 comes out to $28.56. So once again, 90% is cheaper than rounds. And then of course we asked about eagles, and they had eagles for $33 per ounce, which is what? That's actually really not bad. $5.60 over spot is really good right now, given that premiums are going up basically everywhere. Shop number 3, we had Illinois. They were a little bit higher on eagles at 7 over spot. Rounds at $30.50, which puts them at around $3.10 over spot. Once again, 90% silver is the cheapest. $20.50 per dollar multiplied by 1.4 comes out to $28.70 per ounce. So that is 3 shops in a row where 90% is cheaper than even generic rounds. Shop number 4, Florida. Here we go. $27.40. They had rounds at $30. That is $2.60 an ounce over spot. Keep in mind, this is an average. They may see different numbers than what I was looking at. And then, of course, I averaged out what spot prices were by the time we got done with the video. But roughly, based on $27.40, $2.60 over. Silver Eagles, on the other hand, we have $7.60-ish over spot. They were probably $7.50, but you get the idea. 90% though, again, cheap. Well, cheaper. $20.50 per dollar comes out to $28.70 per ounce. That's only $1.30 an ounce over spot. That's really not bad. Here we go with CoinShop at number 5. This one out in Texas, $27.40. Now this one gave me very specific numbers. So my assumption is that their spot price was showing $27.58 at the time. Don't quote me on that. I'm just guessing. But we have $30.58 on rounds. So if I'm right about that assumption, that is 3 over. We have Eagles at $37.58, which if I'm right about that assumption is 10 over. That is, that's a little high. 90% once again, even though more expensive than the other shops so far, it comes in at $21 per dollar at $29.40 per ounce. So even though they're more expensive overall, once again, 90% is the cheapest in that shop. And taking a look at our final shop, local shop that we call, I should say, we have Oklahoma. We have $30 an ounce over spot per rounds. That comes out to around $250, $260. 90% silver, again, cheapest, $20.50 per dollar, $28.70 per ounce. Eagles at $35.50. That is probably +8. My assumption is that they were seeing spot price, or they were using $27.50 spot price when they were doing the math. All right, so like I said, we are going to look at some online bullion dealers. So I went ahead and only looked at 4. This isn't one of my normal premiums videos where I update the premiums of a bunch of different online retailers. We're specifically looking at it for the point of this video, which is to compare 90% as the cheapest versus rounds and eagles. So let's take a look at our first retailer. And here we go, our first retailer online. They had rounds for $31.55. They had 90% silver at $20.99 per dollar. That's $29.38 per ounce. And Silver Eagles at $35.55. So I believe they were showing spot at $27.54 or $27.56, whatever it is. Again, that $27.40 up top there, it's just me averaging out what I was seeing across, the time that I was doing the video and getting all the data. So $20.99 per dollar at $29.38. Once again, 90% is the cheapest. Taking a look at our second online retailer, we have silver rounds at $32.06. We have 90% silver at $21.12, which comes out to $29.57 per ounce. We have Silver Eagles at $37.55. That is spot plus 10 or spot plus $9.99. You get the idea. We already talked about it. But yeah, here we go. Once again, another online retailer showing 90% as the cheapest. Online retailer number 3, 90%, $21.80 per dollar, $30.52 an ounce. That is the highest we've seen so far, I believe. We have silver rounds at 31 and silver eagles at 35.95. If you notice, eagles are considerably higher at every place that we've checked, including online retailers and local shops. And then finally, this is the first and only one of the ones that we checked today that actually has 90% a little bit more expensive than rounds. They had rounds at $29.61 an ounce over spot. They had 90% silver at $21.60 for $30.24 per ounce. And by the way, for the online retailers, I was looking at the $10 face value bags. So that's what I was looking at when I was checking the retailers, is how much they had it at $10 per dollar, or $10 face, I should say. But $21.60 is $30.24, which actually means that 90% is more expensive than rounds with this retailer. And once again, Eagles takes the expensive cake, if you will, at $33.53. All right, so averaging them all out, here is what we have. So take a look. We have LCSs at $30.35 per ounce on 1 ounce rounds. That is an average of all 6. Eagles, the average comes to $35.10, and 90% comes to $28.99 per ounce. At $27.40, that is an average of around $1.60 an ounce over spot, which is $20.71 per dollar. The online retailers were a little bit higher in all 3 categories, where our silver rounds at $31.05 per ounce, our silver eagles at $35.65 per ounce, and this is averages, of course, of the 4 that we looked at, and our 90% at $29.93 per ounce for $21.38 per dollar, $21.38 per $1 face value. So yes, it does in fact appear that when Josh said that people are buying 90% right now because it's cheaper, he's right. 90% prices are definitely the lowest right now, even lower than generic 1 ounce silver rounds, which is not something you were able to say last year when the 90% premiums rivaled that of the high premium silver eagles. So if you are a 90% silver stacker, let me know down below if you're buying right now. I would love to know if you guys are interested and if you are buying 90% silver. And if not, what are you buying? Leave a comment. Let me know down below. Don't forget to like this video so that you see more of them recommended from YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and check out this video right here if you have yet to see that interview that I did do with Josh. You guys are awesome. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.